Before I became a champion R6 player, I used to be hard stuck gold for my first year of playing, but once I learned these 11 tips, I hit champion. The first tip of which being to hold off angles. Now, as you can see, I brought you to Capcan in the basement right here, and Capcan is actually holding the tower stairs. Now, this is a bad angle to hold because it's really common. You're gonna get pre-fired here 9 times out of 10 because most people will just hold close to the pillar like this, especially if they're quick peeking, which is why it's a bad angle. You don't really want to do it. However, if you were to reposition to somewhere else, let's say behind the pillar, holding a close angle, maybe even close to the wall, crouched just like this, no one's gonna expect that. That's super hyper aggressive, and you can get people with it, so it's a good angle. This even goes deeper. You could even prone next to the pillar and get really weird with it. You could get close to the staircase, just like this, or even onto the staircase. They're all pretty good angles. Commonly, even here, you'll see holes just like this. These holes are commonly used angles, so you don't want to hold through these holes if you're trying to catch people off guard. Instead, make punch holes like this. Through these punch holes, you can easily shoot the tower stairs and catch people off guard because they're only used to people being on the holes or on the pillar. So that is why you need to start holding off angles more in your ranked games. Not only is it really good, but it very much annoys your enemies. Another way you can annoy the enemies is by changing your strategy every single round. To show you an example of this, I brought you to one of the most commonly learned sites on the game, CC and Cash and Clubhouse. Commonly for rafters, you'll see the setup where they have holes on the right side, head holes right here, and they'll have a reinforcement just like this. Now, let's say when you're holding rafters, you end up losing this bomb site because they rush you with a Monty or a Blitz or a Grim, a Ying, whatever it may be, and they really focus on trying to take rafters. Well, if you're in a ranked game, chances are if it worked, they're gonna just do it again. So you need to learn how to adapt and change your strategy to make it to where they can't do that again. What pros have been doing right now at the major that's currently going on is if they rush rafters or they rush below, they'll end up actually just reinforcing these head holes. Now you might be wondering, well, what's the whole point of sitting in rafters if you don't have head holes right here to watch your breach? Well, this is why they played mirror. They put a mirror on this wall next to another reinforced wall just like this. And then they popped the mirror. Now, they still have those head holes, but this is a reinforced wall. So when they get their soft breach to come and soft breach this wall open, they can't, which means they can't plant the bomb unless they go through this window. But if you have a guy on red stairs, maybe even behind a deployable shield, they can't hop through this window either, making rafters control and their entire rush completely useless, which is why you really need to start adapting every single time that you lose so that they can't do the exact same thing to you that they just did, or at least in the same exact way. Not only can this actually win you rounds, especially after you just lost one, but so can utilizing cameras more often. Utilizing cameras is one of the most underrated tips on defense that you could do. Specifically here, we're talking about defense. One thing that I notice a lot of ranked players aren't doing is getting on cameras even if they are roaming. If you notice that nobody on your team is on cameras, even if you're a roamer, you should at least get on cameras, even if it's in the middle of the round. The reason for this being is because they could be rushing a completely different side of the map than you're roaming and you wouldn't even know about it. However, if they are rushing you and you're on your cameras, you have a camera, so you can see it, get off of it, and shoot them. So there's actually no risk, no matter if you're sitting safely on site or you're being a bit more risky on the roam. Also, if you're roaming, or if you're anchoring and you have a roamer and no one's on cameras, that roamer could be roaming on the complete opposite side of the map to where they're pushing and be completely useless, especially if they're rushing. Which means if you have somebody on cameras, which should be you, especially if you're solo queuing, and you're on outside cameras or near the outside cameras at the beginning of the round, you can know exactly where they're pushing, who they're playing, and because of that, know exactly how they're going to play so you can roam accordingly or anchor accordingly and tell your teammates to do the exact same thing with your voice comms. So getting on cameras early round on defense is huge. Not only is it huge early round, but also it's huge late round. If you're ever dead, get on cameras. You never want to be spectating your teammates literally ever. There's no point unless there is either A, no cameras, then you can spectate your teammates and give them sound calls, or there's no useful cameras. Like let's say someone's attacking the top floor and you're on the basement and the only camera left is the basement cam. There'd be no reason for you to get on the basement cam, right? So just spectate your teammate and give sound calls then. But unless those two rare scenarios happen, you always want to be on cameras because the amount of times that I've saved a teammate's life who's on site or even roaming by just being on a camera when I die is huge. I can't even count it on the number of fingers that I have on my hand. And you should be doing the exact same thing with the exact same mindset. Just get on cameras. Not only should you do this on defense, but also on attack by placing cutoff drones on staircases. To show you this, I brought you onto Villa. Now, something that I commonly like to do is push backside whenever they're playing Aviator and games. It's just a little bit easier for me to attack. I'll play Gridlock, and I'll trax off the Astro Stairs just like this, or even if I'm not playing a Flank Watch Operator, I'll always have something there, and then I'll push into Trophy. Now, one thing that's really hard for me to deal with is anybody on red stairs. If they're on red stairs, I can't really know about it until they're already shooting me, and if I try to throw Gridlock tracks, if they're there, they're going to shoot me in the face due to the fact that it's just facing me when I'm in this room. You can completely negate this and be safe in the process by just having good cutoff drones. Instead of droning into the site and getting it killed and scanning people uselessly in the prep phase, what you can do is send your drone into the basement. Once your drone is in the basement, send it up red stairs, and then you can find a little drone spot just like this under the table that now can watch red stairs. Now, if you want to be able to watch the entirety of it in case you're sitting in this left corner, you can pretty easily just get on top of a table, or you can lodge it in somewhere just like this to actually watch the red stairs, but that's not really the point of this. The point being, if I actually want to put tracks on this staircase, instead of risking my life for zero reason, now I can get on this cam. Oh, okay, no one's there. Let me throw tracks there. And that immediately makes it to where I don't even have to worry about that angle. And not worrying about that angle also saves time because I won't hold it in case I think that someone's going to swing. Not only this, but later in the round, when I'm pushing 90, trying to take 90 control, right? Trying to put pressure here, throwing tracks into the hallway, there's a possibility that someone can flank from red stairs, right? Not even just sit there, but flank there. Now, I have this camera, so if I'm in a position where I can't really do anything, I'm just waiting on teammates to get that wall open or to give me smokes for this hallway so I can push, I can just get on this camera, and I can sit here, and I can wait for flankers. If no one flanks, that's fine, but at least I'm doing something with this camera. So, utilizing cutoff cameras, especially for staircases specifically, which is one of the most high-traffic areas that defenders go to, is crucial if you want to win more games. Not only is learning when to use drones crucial to win more games, but also learning when to use primary utility is also beneficial to you in your ranked games. To show you what I mean, I'm showing you a clip from my Twitch, twitch.tv/AlkaFPS, in which I am playing Maestro. Now, the biggest mistake I see new Maestro players making is they don't know when to get on his gun and shoot people versus when to get on his cameras and zap people. It's one of the hardest things to learn as a good Maestro player. Now, as you can see from this clip, I'm in a 1vx situation, and I was carefully balancing my cameras and my gunplay. I only got on my cameras when I knew that I wasn't going to get pushed or I knew it was safe to do so, but the second that I felt any danger whatsoever, I got my gun out. A lot of the times too, when you're on Maestro cameras just like this, you waste a lot of unnecessary time just looking at a breach that could potentially have someone run in it, instead of reacting to them running in somewhere and then getting on your camera. You should always be reactionary with your cameras and your gun be the thing that you're primary using, instead of the other way around as Maestro. Now, if you go to more passive abilities, like let's say a Fenrir or a Malusi, obviously you don't need to be on your Fenrir devices just switching through them all the time. That doesn't really make sense to do. Instead, only flip your Fenrir gadgets whenever you know that they're rotating their push, and have your gun up most of the time instead. You need to learn based off of every operator how to balance operator effectiveness, passiveness, and aggressiveness. You shouldn't be as aggressive on a smoke as you should be on an ash, because they're two different playstyles, roles, and operators. So you need to learn exactly how to balance and play each utility, when to be aggressive with it, when to be passive with it, and when to just not use the utility at all. Now, I will admit that's a pretty hard tip to learn, as you kind of have to learn every single operator, but something that is way easier to learn though is correct crosshair placement. There's many guides, even I have made them, on YouTube talking about how to get the best aim possible. But none of those really matter or are as effective as just getting better crosshair placement. Knowing exactly where head level is will win you more gunfights than having on the correct attachments, being able to flick from one target to the other, having great tracking, or having a good warm-up routine. Every single tip video that I've made for aim at all, every tip I've ever given you is not as big or useful as a tip as having good crosshair placement. You don't need good recoil control if you hit the first bullet in the head. You don't need to flick and worry about the level at which you're aiming at with your flick if you're always aiming head level. You don't need to track a player if you hit them with the first bullet. It just doesn't make sense. So make sure that your crosshair placement is good and locked in first before you worry about any other aiming tips at all. But if you do actually end up having good crosshair placement, you should do this next tip, which is pre-firing more. Now, I personally am a fan of Pro League. Something that I notice Pro League players do a lot, especially compared to me or other ranked players, is they pre-fire a lot of angles. Pre-firing is a great weapon in Siege because there's something called damage drop-off, but damage drop-off doesn't really affect you if you're aiming head level and you hit them in the head. So if you're pre-firing because you think somebody might be there, because it's a common angle, or because you have information through a wall, that can get you a free kill a lot of the times because they don't know where you are, which is acting off of information, something that is very, very useful to you. I've talked about it time and time again on my channel, but if you ever have information, you should act on it, especially in the form of pre-firing, when you can get kills through walls and they can't even see where you're shooting them from. Now, I will say you don't want to be pre-firing too much. Sometimes you'll run out of ammo, or if you're pre-firing, they'll get information on you because you're obviously shooting, it makes noise, it gives bullet tracers, so you only want to be pre-firing if you know that somebody might be there, not pre-firing every single angle known to man because you think that you're spoiled. That's just not how it works. So you kind of have to learn a balance with pre-firing, but pre-firing, when you do it correctly and in a timely manner, can be something that is extremely useful to you. An even better tip that I can give to new players is to find openings and don't be scared to take them. To show you this example, I brought you on the clubhouse once again. Now, if you're ever attacking the basement site, something that's pretty common for Dokkaebi players, if she's unbanned, is to take Strip Club. That's because Strip Club is a large portion of the map. You have this huge room, you have all of lockers, you have these two big rooms that any defender could be sitting in, you have the strip hall, you have bathroom, and you have bar. That's a lot of rooms that you need to clear, especially if you're worried about a late round flanker. Also, if you push strip, you also get a huge angle through this wall onto any defenders in bar, which is useful if you have a Hibana trying to open this hatch here and you want to help her roam clear. However, in most ranked lobbies, nobody actually sits in strip because it's not next to a bomb site, so most people think that it's useless. Knowing that, you can easily take strip, especially if you have Dokkaebi, and you can call and make sure no one's roaming here in the first place. Now, because you found a huge opening and a huge gap in the defense, you can take that, which is what this tip is. If you see an opening and an area that you can take, do not hesitate to take it. It's way too often that I see players that are way too passive. Sure, I could have droned every single one of these rooms, right? I could have droned this room. I could have wasted all this time droning this entire room. I could have wasted all this time droning both of these rooms, then wasted even more time having to re-drone through here, wasted all the time droning through this hallway. You get the idea. Like, I'm just wasting so much time, whereas I could have broken open the door here, quick peek this angle, okay, call, now I walk in. I'm calling here specifically because not only does it help me roam clear, but I know nobody plays here. It's very rare that anybody plays here. And now, because I know all of this is clear, I can sit and hold this angle while my person pushes up. Or if I think someone's going to go on main stairs, I can sit in bathroom and hold this angle. But if you ever see an opening on the map like this, you need to take it because it will help you and your teammates so much if you hold angles properly and do what you need to do. Taking openings and taking space is honestly another completely different way that you can win the game, other than getting kills and planting the bomb. It's very useful to you. Another completely different way to win the game if you're on defense is to play time. There's a very specific saying that a lot of Pro League players talk about, which is time is the sixth defender. Completely true. Attackers not only have to fight against 5 defenders, but they have to fight against the clock. So as a defender, if you are efficient at wasting a lot of time, you can be efficient at winning the game as well. For example, if there's only 30 seconds left and they haven't gotten the bomb down, there's no reason to peek people and to be aggressive. They have to come to you. They have to get the bomb down. So all you have to do is hold passive information angles and let them do all of the mistakes and all of the heavy lifting, and let time be the reason that they lose the round and not because they swung and won some gunfights. So learning when to play time as a defender is actually huge, especially if you're late in the round, like I said, or you're trying to hold space while you wait for your teammate to flank to help you not get pinched in rafters. Or maybe just using utility like Cade, Turbo Hour, Smoke to waste initial time at the start or in the mid round so that you can waste even more time in the late round. Wasting time should be your main priority as a defender, no matter whether you're roaming, lurking, or anchoring. You need to be wasting time as much as possible so that you have an easier time winning in the late round, and that is one of the best tips I have ever given on this channel, so please make sure that you intake that as much as possible. However, if you can't waste time and you're forced to take gunfights, then you'll need my next tip, which is repositioning constantly. I'm going to bring you back to Clubhouse for this one. Now let's say instead of attacking basement, I'm defending basement. As a defender, I was on top main, maybe trying to apply pressure onto people in the bar, into the hallway, or in bathroom if they took strip like I talked about earlier. Either way, I was top main. However, I just got a kill under the kid in bar. I know there's one in kitchen who's getting the hatch open, and I know that there's a second kid in bar right now. Instead of staying at the top of these main stairs and maintaining pressure, which might actually seem like a good idea, a great idea would be to actually go to bottom main and sit in this corner just like this. Now, if they even peek the double door, they can't see you unless they get really close to you. Also, they just gave a call out, hey, there's a guy top main stairs. So when the guy who's in bar or in kitchen comes to roam clear, his crosshair is not going to be down here where you are. His crosshair is going to be up here, right? So he's going to be looking like this, and then when you're in this corner, you can easily shoot him because you just repositioned. So not only does repositioning get you free kills, but it also makes it to where the information they're feeding their teammates is just completely wrong. So every single time you get a kill, if it's safe to do so, you want to be repositioning. It doesn't even have to be from the top of a staircase to the bottom of a staircase. It can be from the right side of a door to the left side of a door. Or it can be from close to the right all the way back to the right. Because a lot of the times people won't just call out, hey, there's a kid in bathroom. They'll be like, hey, there's a kid on the bathroom door. So instead of being on the bathroom door, now you can be close to this brick wall. And then the call out won't even be accurate, right? So you want to be repositioning as much as possible every single time you get a kill. It will get you so many more secondarily free kills as well, I promise you. Now again, not knowing where you'll shoot them from is huge for you, which is why my last tip is using punch holes. Typically as an attacker, this wall is reinforced with an optional rotate here or just nothing. They leave it soft. If I am an attacker, again, trying to attack the basement, I'll drop oil pit or I'll go down secret stairs and I want to clear this part out, this part of the map out. Whenever I get into generator and I'm looking to either open this wall because there's a mirror on it or maybe make a rotate for a plant onto dummies, attacking this, a soft wall with a reinforcement, is not really scary to me. There's no angles I have to watch, no potential swings, all I have to watch is the door. However, if I'm a defender, what I can do is I can just put punch holes right here. I don't even have to play these punch holes. I can just put him down in the prep phase and never even look at him again. Just put a bunch of punch holes, just like this. Doesn't really matter. Now, as an attacker, if I'm trying to attack generator, this is way scarier to look at. I don't know if he's going to be on the punch holes. I don't know if he's going to swing me from the door. I don't know if I'm going to get pre-fired. I don't know if he's on this hole, 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 or this hole. I don't know. There's just a lot of unknowns. So not only does it make it way more scary for me to take gunfights, but I might even not sit in generator. Now I might sit here. And because I'm a defender and I put those punch holes there, I know that the attacker's not going to sit in generator if there's punch holes here. I know they're going to sit on this angle. So now I can pre-fire that and get a super free kill, which is why utilizing punch holes is really, really nice and one of the best tips that I can give you, especially if you're in a high rank and you have the IQ to utilize them just like I talked about. But with that out of the way, my name's Alka, check out this next video, and I hope I'll see you there. Later.